Hello everyone and welcome to This Nintendo Life. My name is NBZ and you join us for episode 68. It is E3 Eve and we are here ready and awaiting for what will probably be the most underwhelming E3 in many years. Although, to be honest, if we compare the fact that we're getting a bunch of Zelda this year to last year's pitiful display, you really can't get much worse, can you? So, I think that...
E3 hype monocycle.
Yeah, monocycle on the unicycle, that's what it's called.
Unicycle, what's a monocycle?
I don't know, that's a thing you've just discovered. Anyway, the voice you hear that is not mine is Bally. Bally, you're here and you're ready to talk about some Nintendo things.
Hello, NBZ, I am ready. I'm ready because last E3, while it didn't deliver very much, the hype train was so much more intense because, there was just so much at stake, and now we've... Nintendo have brought us down a few pegs. Just a few.
Oh, they've not just a few pegs. We're literally drowning in the bottom of the river right now.
And they've said, here's Zelda, but nothing else, more or less. We'll get to that in a bit. But I feel like we're over the sadness of having our legs knocked out from under us, and we kind of are not expecting the most, which is a better place to be mentally now than it was a little while ago.
Yeah, just don't expect anything, and then if there's something, hey, that's good, That's something to actually be excited for. So, Bally, before we jump into all that stuff, how about you tell us what we will be discussing on this here pre-E3 show?
We're going to do two segments this time. We got first segment, we're going to talk about the games that we have been playing as always, and then the second segment is going to be our pre-E3 predictions segment, and we'll hopefully drag in a couple of your listener emails into that segment as well.
You know how you can tell that people aren't excited for E3 Bally? It's the fact that no one has sent in predictions because they all know that it's doomed and there's no point.
They know.
But we've got some that we'll bring in. Let's kick it off. Bally, you've been playing the same games that you were playing last time because they're relevant releases and they're long apparently.
Yes, I finished up Star Fox. I say finished up, it's such a sort of arcade-based game that there's going to be a lot more of replayability, and I think I am going to come back to it every now and then just when I need to burn through some podcasts this year. So I think it's just going to be, now until the end of the year, it's going to be my podcast burning special game. So if last year was more Splatoon, this one, I've unlocked all the levels now, so I just want to try and beat those high scores. I think that the final few levels I unlocked are some of the best.
Oh, really? So
definitely.
You would say it's worth it to go through and unlock all those different paths?
Definitely. And I mean, 20 levels is still a really small game. This game is not big. I think it might be a little bit bigger than 64. I can't quite remember. But it's not many levels. It only took me 6, 7, 8 hours to get to all 20 levels, which is actually quite a long time when you think about it, but that's because some of them are very difficult and you do die quite a bit. I still think personally the best part of this game is the dogfighting. There's one dogfight I unlocked which is just a one-on-one head-to-head with Starwolf, but you're fighting over a planet, and Starwolf, his R-Wing transforms into a wolf and runs on the planet.
Like a mechanized wolf.
A mechanized wolf. It's
really
cool.
I've seen some footage of this and I thought, well, that's a really neat thing. That actually looks pretty cool.
And you can remain in an R-Wing and try and fight it while it's a mechanized wolf. But in actuality, it's easier for you to change into your chicken walker and fight it head on with the walker.
That seems like a bad matchup, doesn't it? Like this really fast, predator creature against this bumbling chicken thing you have. It doesn't seem like you're in the best position there.
I mean, the advantage of transforming into the chicken walker is that the ZL targeting, rather than being in the R-Wing mode, it almost feels identical to a game like Zelda. All of a sudden, while you're locked on, you're stationary, and you're sort of doing barrel rolls left and right, a bit like Link hopping left and right to avoid hits, and then you're aiming and shooting. And it's just really, really intuitive and really enjoyable. And like I said last time about all the camera work and stuff, it feels so cinematic. You actually really do feel not that you're a pilot, but you're doing more than just using analog sticks. But that's ultimately because you're aiming at the same time, and I just had such a great time with that boss. And it's one of the final levels in the game, and it's like quite thematic, and the planet you're on actually is identical, like it's a snow planet. It looks just like Hoth. It's a cool level, it's a cool experience, and it's a nice implementation of the chicken walker.
Did you try any? So I know there's like the single player, and then there's this other arcade mode you're talking about. I don't know what other modes there are in this game, and if you dived into them and the whole medal stuff. Have you been able to do any of that, or was you just focusing on finishing all the single player stuff?
Yeah, there's the main game, there's arcade mode, which, like I said, is one, like you're just giving your lives, and when you die, you're back to the start.
Right, yeah.
And then there's training mode, which there's sort of 6 separate levels, and then you're given levels where you can test out how to use the chicken walker, the R-wing, the blah blah blah, and like each vehicle you can like practice and work on, and those have their own little high scores and things. And then other than that, I think that I've not unlocked it yet, and I believe it's like a sound test that you unlock later. It's really crappy, unlockable. But I think some more of the boss fights I unlocked at the end, other than Star Wolf, are really cool. Like there's this one where it's this big flying like double-headed mecha dragon that you actually fight on one of the levels, which I believe it's not Zonus. I can't remember the name, but it's a really cool tropical planet, and I believe it's one of the few sort of new texture designs, if that makes sense, like one of the
new locations.
New locations, exactly. And it looks beautiful. It's really cool. But then you fight this boss later in space, and you're actually defending the Great Fox. And what happens is you're defending the Great Fox with all these asteroids, and then all of a sudden this boss appears, and you're like, oh crap! Like what am I going to do? And then the Great Fox, like Rob the robot, like speaks to you. He's just like, align the enemy with the Great Fox's cannon, and you have to basically lure the boss in front of the Great Fox, and then the Great Fox shoots it with its cannons. Like it's just quite an intuitive way of defeating a boss that Star Fox hadn't done before, and this game just does so much that's new and different that, like I said last time, I absolutely love. So I'm gonna talk about this in the future, definitely at the end of the year with the games of the year and things like that. But I'm gonna play bits of it throughout the rest of the year, hopefully, and might raise it in between on the podcast. But yeah, absolutely loved Star Fox Zero. I'd highly recommend it.
Good stuff.
I've also been playing more Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. I think I'm up to chapter 11 or 12. 11, I think. I don't think I've played 11 yet. So I've done the first 10 chapters. So I've not played too much. I'm only about maybe 7 or 8 hours in. I'm really appreciating the mechanics more. The game is getting tougher. I'm super overwhelmed by the number of characters. Like, it feels like I'm very early on in the game, and there's already absolutely loads of characters. And I don't know whether that's them because obviously there's 2 families, or whether they wanted to make the game easier for people playing on classic modes that might have been letting units die. But it just seems like I'm being sort of bombarded by units, and some of those units are incredibly powerful. Like there's a couple of samurai I just got who just seem, I think you get them like level 10, and all my other units were about level 7, or maybe the highest was 8, so they felt quite powerful, like just sort of like a buffer to help you out. I am really enjoying it so far. I'm keen to take this game slow and actually try and defeat the whole game on classic. And I say that now, and it is getting tougher. I actually failed chapter 10 quite a lot. It's the one with all the ninjas and the sort of traps with spikes in the ground. I don't know if you remember it, MBZ.
Oh god, that chapter's it's so slow and just horrible. Yeah. Oh my god.
It was pretty tough, and I've definitely sort of identified a couple of units that are definitely a lot weaker than I realized, and kept dying, and I was just sticking them in stupid places and they were getting shot at. And and ninjas, when I started the game and got a couple of ninjas myself, I was like, oh, I'm so glad they're my units and they're not enemy units that I have to fight against. Like, oh my god, they have like these debuffs and all this. They're so powerful. They have great range and they can fire through fences and all this. And I was like, oh god, now I have to fight some. And every time, like, it must have taken me 4 or 5 goes. Like, they would just swarm an enemy, and obviously they're getting in their double hits, and because they're ninjas, they're quick, so some cases they get like 4 hits in. I was like, oh my god, I'm just taking so much damage, and obviously I had to reset the game a few times. But I am really enjoying this game. I think I completely understand a lot of your gripes with it, because it does feel so different to Awakening. It's almost like, you know, Star Fox 64 and Zero, they look similar, but they play nothing like each other. Like, yes. Awakening and Fates look pretty similar. They're ultimately the same engine, or at least similar engines, but they just mechanically are so different. And I have really been experimenting with keeping some of my stronger units sort of separate to get more hits in, and then keeping some of the weaker ones like paired up together, and trying to mix up things.
No, that's smart, yeah.
And I am starting to get better, I think, and that chapter is definitely a sort of steep learning curve to make you a lot more defensively minded, which I believe the chapters prior to that maybe didn't do as much. But I'm really glad that they're ramping it in quite slowly, but I'm sure there are going to be some steep parts to come. But overall, I'm comfortable with my team, and I know what they're good at and what they're bad at, and I'm getting there.
That's good. I think your problem with having too many characters is going to be alleviated very soon. I think that what Birthright does is it basically like diarrheas out people to you and then just stops. Like, it just goes completely cold, and you will not have new characters for like the next 10 chapters after, I think, 13 maybe. So you're close to like topping out on basically all your crew members. But yeah, I would recommend, like, if you haven't identified yet the people you're pairing together, try and do that. Like, you don't necessarily have to have them paired together all the time. There are certain units where I found they could handle themselves, like on their own. So Corrin, for example, does well. The problem with mine was that they had low resistance, so I had to be careful with mages and stuff. But like Felicia, you have Jacob, she was like perfectly good on her own because she's a healer, so you kind of need her to be mobile and running around. Azura, obviously you don't want Azura to be paired up with anyone because she has much better utility dancing for someone and giving them an extra turn, which can be so helpful in so many situations. I don't know how much you've used her, but like after coming off Path of Radiance, because I streamed that and I finished that recently, there is a character in Path of Radiance who is the most overpowered dance unit I have ever seen in any Fire Emblem game, and I used him throughout basically as soon as I got him to the end, and I was like, you know, I want more Fire Emblem games to have dancers with more utility. I think Azura is great because she has the ability to attack, and she is able to kind of hold her own in that space, but also she is useful for doing all the songstress stuff and giving people extra turns.
I think it's really cool that you get her very early on. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it forces you to use her because she's like one of your starting party members.
Exactly. And definitely Fire Emblem 7, I was sort of given a dancer well into that game, and I just never used them. Way too late, and like I don't know how to protect them, level up, and I don't know, I just
that was always the issue with other games, is that the dancer came at a point in the stage where you already had your team set, so you didn't want to sacrifice anyone. They were also really low level, so you were worrying about like protecting them and having them, you know, die in a chapter and ruin your progress. So like definitely I think the decision to have her from the beginning was a smart one, and she is also useful for things like in that chapter you were talking about, because she heals in two spaces around her. Allies heal like 3 HP per turn, so when you're on those spike areas you can just have people surrounding her and they'll heal up the damage they take, because I think it's the same damage they take from the spikes as the amount that they heal from her.
Apart from her is the problem.
Apart from her, right? But so, if you have like Jacob next to her, you can just use the staff, so that's cool.
So yeah, I'm like 8 hours in maybe. I've got a long way to go this game. I'm gonna be mentioning it for some time to come, but I'm hopefully gonna try.
Look, there's gonna be a lot of Fire Emblem talk on this podcast.
There's gonna be so much.
I haven't even started Conquest yet. I thought, like I was so eagle-eyed, like I'm gonna go in to fight Fate and play them all in a row. No, that was not the case. I didn't end up doing that.
I think if there's a game that anyone needs a break from, it's a game like Fire Emblem, because it is very systematic. It's very long. It's very tough in many cases. So,
there's just a lot of Fire Emblem in my life right now, Bally. Like I just finished Path of Radiance on stream. I played 36 hours of Birthright. I'm doing an LP of Binding Blade.
And there's that crazy Japanese game coming out with Fire Emblem characters.
That's not a Fire Emblem game. Well, come on, man.
Yeah, it's not.
It's a Persona game, but
it's a Persona game. But that's what I've been playing. NBZ, what have you been playing?
I've been playing everything under the sun. We don't have time to go into everything. There are a couple of games that from the Humble Bundle that when you get round to them, I will talk about them when you are playing them. So there's Nanosol EX, which I beat, and I also beat Freedom Planet. Both cool in their own ways. We'll get to them when you play them. Also, I played Shadow Complex Remastered 3 weeks ago, and I never talked about that because Fire Emblem. All I'll say is that Shadow Complex is a game that people talked about for years as this amazing Metroid game, and I played it and I was very underwhelmed. I thought it was average at best, and I think that time has not been kind to it. The remastered version doesn't look that great, and it's good, but it's not this fucking come-to-Jesus moment of Metroid games. There have been much better ones since then, and there will continue to be better ones. So if you love Shadow Complex, I'm sorry, it's not as good as you remember. And also, I think those are the quick hits that I wanted to get to. The main things I've been diving back into: Game of the Year last year, Ori and the Blind Forest. The definitive edition came out, and this added new area. It added a bunch of features that were crucially missing, like the ability to go back into your save file after you beat the game, which was in the last version you got locked out, which is the worst thing in a Metroid style game. If you don't have 100% and you want to go back in there, that's a terrible design choice. Thankfully they fixed that. There are a couple of areas that you couldn't return to before. They fixed those. But all I'm gonna, Ori and the Blind Forest is just fucking perfection. It might be my favorite game of all time. I need distance from it in order to make that assessment, but this game is so fucking good that I don't even know words to describe it. It feels incredible. The power-ups that you get are so smartly designed for movement and for platforming that make you feel step by step more and more powerful as you traverse the environment. They've added in fast travel in this one to make the going back and getting extra items easier. Everything about this is so smart and brilliant and beautiful and wonderful and gorgeous to listen to. The music is just astounding. I really want you to be able to play this game at some point, Bally, but the problem is Microsoft published it on Xbox One. It's on PC. It's not gonna come anywhere else. And I hope that they, do a sequel that gets a wider release. But Jesus Christ,
I could pick up one of those slim Xbox Ones they're going to announce this E3.
You could do, yeah, no, totally. That could be a possibility. But I will say, it took me 3 days to go through the whole thing again. I just love every second of it. I think the new area is good. I don't think it kind of hits the highs of some of the best parts of the game. It actually kind of takes a mechanic that is probably my least favorite, which is not the best. It's a thing where you have to pick up something on your shoulders and kind of move it around areas and be a bit slow and vulnerable, so you don't feel like you have that freedom of movement that Ori usually has. But that's only kind of a short segment of it. The rest of it it expands a bit more. And I 100%ed it again. It's one of those things it feels so great that I just don't want to leave it. And the highlights, the escape sequences, still absolutely resplendent. They are my favorite boss fight style things in any game. The platforming stuff there is so incredibly smart and fast paced and energetic. I can't bring enough superlatives, Bally. Second time playing it, and it's just as good. And this may become a Metroid Fusion situation where I have to jump in every year, give it a bash, because Like, there is nothing that feels this good to play.
Do you think they're going to do a proper sequel at some point? They must.
I hope so. I really hope so. It'd be cool to see them kind of stretch their wings and maybe tackle a different style of game, but like they're so good at this that I would...
What's their name?
Moon Studios is the developer.
And they were... What was famous was that they were in different parts of the globe, making different parts and then sort of putting it together.
Yeah, all the individual team members lived in different places, and like over Skype and whatever, they'd made this game, which is unbelievable. Like,
just like our podcast.
Exactly. Using the magic of the internet, they create something amazing. So if you ever had any doubt about Ori, just play it. If you have access to playing that game, holy shit, what are you doing? Play it now. Stop listening to this. God damn it. Actually, that's a testament to this. I didn't listen to podcasts at all playing it through second time. Like, the atmosphere, the music is so amazing that I just need to give it its time of day, you know? Just got to soak it in, Bally. Got to soak it in. And that I rarely do that with these kind of games.
I always do.
I know you do. The other thing is, Bally, this is the week of basically my game of the years from last year. My number one was Ori. My number two...
I tell you what, they want to squeeze a bit more money out of you.
Oh, they do. But they're getting it. Look, I will give CD Projekt Red all of my money. Because they are fucking brilliant, yes. So Witcher 3, the new expansion, Blood and Wine, came out. And it's magnificent, you know? Like, it's hard to, like, go wrong with these two experiences, because one of them is like platforming perfection and the other one takes the open world genre and RPGs to like this narrative level that hasn't been reached by many other games, and on the AAA scale it's really just ridiculously impressive. I think the fun thing about Witcher 3 to me is how you start this quest that seems innocuous and it just blooms and blossoms into this thing that goes on for literally like hours. There's a character you meet, funnily enough, someone else tweeted this at Guillaume from RFN. There's a character, a French knight, who you meet in this new area, because the new area is kind of based on France. It's called Toussaint, and one of the knights you meet is called Guillaume. And so I was like, oh, that's funny.
It's a relatively common French name, actually, I found.
Yeah, is it more French-Canadian, or is it just French?
I don't know whether it's French-Canadian, French, or French-Belgian. I have no idea.
Yeah. So anyway, I meet this character Guillaume, and then I have to basically talk to him later. And this little quest, talking to him about like how he wants to win over this woman who he's trying to, you know, be this like grand knight, and he fails in this contest against the beast that I defeat for him. And you go in and do this whole tournament quest line where you train for this tournament, do this horse riding thing where you ride along this path and like cut down dummies and shoot with your crossbow at like targets on the way. It's like kind of like a cross-country thing, but on horseback. Like, that's one of the contests. There's like an archery contest. There's a contest of like combat on horseback, and you do training for all these things. You go through and do the entire tournament, like, and then the sub quest comes along where there's something wrong with the woman, who she has a curse, and you have to fix that. Like, and starting this thing, which is literally on the it's like side quest, just go to this guy, 3.5 hours later, like, this entire like sub story has unraveled. And that's the thing that I don't think other games do that well. You take something like Xenoblade Chronicles X, and all those side quests are just, I mean, they're good and they're well written, but they're just so, they don't feel substantive, you know? They don't feel like you're getting much from them, aside from, you know, knickknacks and stuff. And the narrative payoff and the writing and the dialogue is just, it's so excellent that it's a joy to go through. And yeah, it just keeps shining. I think Toussaint is one of the most gorgeous places I've ever seen in any game. It is incredibly colourful and bright, and it's nice because I think parts of the other areas in Witcher 3, like Velen and, you know, the kind of the marshy bog areas, tended to get a bit overcast, and like there's lots of rain at points in time, and it didn't like really shine and brighten up. But in Toussaint, like, it's always sunny, there's always, you know, brightness and colourfulness, and the grass just they did something to the grass to make it look like better in this part of the world. and it is the best looking grass I have seen in any game. It is just jaw-dropping how nice it looks. Like, you just walk through it for the sake of just looking at it, you know? It's one of those moments, like, remember back on the GameCube how we just marveled at the water effects in Star Fox Adventures? We're like, oh, the water. Like, that's me right now. I'm just literally walking through a field looking at the grass. It's like, oh, it looks incredible.
Are you worried that playing a game as impressive as Witcher 3, so close to Nintendo trying to show off their big open world game?
Yeah.
Are you not worried that just not whatever they show, it's going to pale in comparison to a game like Witcher 3? Like,
I think
how do they shake it up? And maybe we can talk about that next segment.
We will. But I think I'm not looking for the same thing from Zelda, which is key. I think Zelda is a different experience. When you're talking about a visual level, of course, Witcher 3 just fucking shits all over Zelda Wii U, despite the fact that, you know, it has this gorgeous art style. I think Zelda can leverage itself on art style, and it will do that. And it will still look incredibly beautiful. On a technical level, it just unfortunately can't match up because I'm running a PC with a GTX 970 in it. Like, the Wii U just doesn't go to that stage. So purely technically, obviously, it's not going to do that. But yeah, I don't look for those same hooks in Zelda, because Zelda is about... It's all... Both games are about discovery and exploring, but Zelda is more about the joy of solving riddles and puzzles and that kind of thing, where Witcher is much more about unraveling a narrative. And I think there are hopes for this Zelda to be more narrative-driven, but if it isn't, I'm not going to cry about it. And I think Witcher, on a gameplay level, is definitely weaker than what a Zelda game normally provides. I like the combat. I think it's good and solid, but it's not groundbreaking. It's fun and it's cool, and a lot of the peripheral things like using your signs and building up your mutagens and you know, the RPG elements of assigning points and getting abilities, that's kind of conventional. And Zelda doesn't do any of that stuff. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good distinction for sure. So I'm still looking forward to Zelda despite playing this. But just to end off, I think one of the best quests that I've done in any game is in this expansion. And it is literally a quest where you walk into a bank to get some money that some guy owes you. And the entire quest revolves around you going from window to window in the bank, and the person saying, I'm sorry, you don't have form A23, please go to the other desk to get this form. And you go to the other desk and the person's like, no, in order to get this, you need permit 3.6 and you need to do this. And it is just, it's this lovely, you know, recreation of that frustration of real life, of like getting in a situation like that at a bank and trying to sort out finances and bullshit, and you're just ping-ponging between people who keep telling you separate things, and it's just so well written, it's really funny, and it's just, you don't fight anything, it's all just this narrative that has framed this stupid little situation, and it works brilliantly. It's just absolutely fantastic, and that's the kind of thing that this game excels at. And yeah, it just is blown me away, keeps to blow me away. So I don't know how much longer I have. I'm assuming at least like 15 more hours. It's a pretty meaty thing, pretty meaty expansion. They call these expansions, they're not just DLC, for a reason.
Is there more to come?
No, this is it. This is the last thing for The Witcher 3. This is the end of Geralt's story. They have a new game called Cyberpunk 2077 in the works. And I imagine they might do something else with The Witcher in the future, but I think Geralt won't be involved. I think this is the last game with him as the central character. So yeah, I'm almost not looking forward to seeing the end of this, because that'll be it. That'll be the cap on The Witcher 3. I'll be done. So we'll get to that bridge when we cross it. But for now, I still have a lovely French countryside to explore, so I'll continue to do that. And we will continue to explore the countryside of Nintendo's predictions. It's a terrible segue.
It's empty.
It's empty, yeah. There's
and
no
vast.
sheep. It's just like the Zelda demo that we saw.
Yes.
No one's there. No one's alive. So yes, join us after the break, where we will be chatting about that Zelda game and whatever weird stuff Nintendo decides to talk about at E3. So don't go anywhere. You will not want to miss it.
My body is ready. My body is ready. My body
Welcome back, everyone, to This Nintendo Life episode 68, where I, your host, NBZ, am here to present to you the wonderful, glorious world of E3, which includes The Legend of Zelda and a couple other things, unfortunately. We're here to do E3 predictions about Nintendo. Bally, we should start off by saying, last week we asked people to send in predictions for The Legend of Zelda, thinking that that would be the only thing that we were going to be talking about. Fortunately, we maybe have a little hope there might be something more, because Nintendo announced, for some reason this late in the game, that there will in fact be an additional day of Treehouse live streaming, which will include such wondrous games as Monster Hunter Generations, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Dragon Quest VII. I don't think there's any others that they've mentioned.
Is it enough? Is it enough to upgrade from a unicycle?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure it's quite a bicycle though. You know, it's more like a 1.5. It's more like maybe two people riding a unicycle, like one on the shoulders.
That sounds like a mess.
It does sound like a mess. We'll see if it is a mess. They're also going to talk about Pokemon Sun and Moon. So on day one, it won't just be Zelda for the whole day, which we were a little afraid they would show too much Zelda. But they have Pokemon cutting into that space. So hopefully there'll be just the right amount of Zelda, and then they can go off and do their freaking dancing with the monsters, and we'll be fine.
It's like some executive just sort of looked at the internet after all those announcements and was like, everyone's got the wrong message. Like, we didn't make it clear enough. I guess we should let them know that we're actually going to show this, and this, you know? It's a bit weird.
I wonder how that happened. I wonder how that poor messaging got across. Jesus Christ. It seems maybe like a reaction to that, although who knows? Like, if this was in the works the whole time, like, they must have had this, they must have known they were going to do this. They don't just plan an extra day of E3 a week beforehand, do you? Like, clearly they knew they were doing a second day.
But I just mean they skipped over it when they were doing their explanations as to what they were going to do, and they just kind of
right.
Oh, maybe we should re-emphasize that we are doing this second day.
I don't know. Maybe they hadn't finalized it. Who knows? But it was.
Yeah.
Look. Let's just call it what it is. Nintendo's rollout of what they are doing for E3 has been a fucking shit show, and they should be. They should be held responsible for being terrible at, like, telling us what the hell is actually happening, because it has just been a mess. But, that aside, we at least know that other games will be shown. There won't be anything else playable. That doesn't really matter to us, because we're not at E3 playing games. But for us, it's actually good, because we get to see some other stuff, some different stuff. I'm interested to see some Dragon Quest VII. Curious about that. I don't think Tokyo Mirage Sessions is worth it, because it literally comes out the week after E3, so that seems like a superfluous addition. And Monster Hunter's thing. But there could be other things in there they haven't mentioned. There may be little announcements. So, Bally, this is how we are framing our predictions this year. We are going to focus on The Legend of Zelda, but we're also going to give ourselves a little room for some additional predictions for things that might be announced as part of the Treehouse livestream, because could happen. No one knows. There might be some surprises. We'll see. So what we're doing is we're going to do 3 predictions for Zelda, and then we will have 2 additional predictions, giving us a total of 5. And we may remember to tot these up after E3. We may get lost in the rush and forget, and you might have to remind us to do that. But I feel like last time when we did this, we just forgot to do our predictions post-show thing and add them up, so I can't even remember what we did last time.
I think we probably both did very badly anyway.
Probably, yeah.
Who knows? Because I can't remember what they were.
Probably way too high in expectation, and then we got what the hell last year's Direct was. So. that was the thing. So, Bally, let's dig in. How about we start off with you with our first Legend of Zelda prediction.
The Legend of Zelda for the Wii U and the NX will have voice acting and a silent Link.
Okay, well, I also have this prediction in it. Well, I mean, it's an obvious one, though, isn't it?
It is an obvious one.
It feels like you going into this, everything that has been said, the Emily Rogers rumor, the fact that they seem to be moving in this direction where they want to take inspiration from Western games and open world games, and they looked at, Skyward Sword went up against Skyrim at the same time of year when that came out, and we know that there is some influence being drawn here from them taking some inspiration out of Western open world games, and the fact that those games are all very much in this modern era of voice acting. The fact that Zelda hasn't had voice acting has just been a sticking point and something that has been criticized on Nintendo's front for many years. Like, even going back to Twilight Princess, Jeff Gerstmann talks about Twilight Princess all the time, and how when he reviewed it back in 2006, he was underwhelmed by the fact that there was no voice acting, and even back then, and we're 10 years removed from that, and we still don't have it. So it really seems like something that they're behind the times in, and Nintendo at this point in time really need to start getting a move on. So I think it's a safe prediction. I have some joke wrinkles to it. Is there any voice actors in particular you would call out as playing roles? You probably don't know enough voice actors, Bally, to even do that.
I do not in the slightest know enough. I'm not going to put a name out there. I was going to come back at you with a question, and I know you'll want to answer the question you asked me, but I was going to say, do you think Link will speak?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No, I 100% agree with the rumor said that Link wouldn't talk, and I think that is the smart decision. There are plenty of games where the main character does not speak a word of dialogue, and it works perfectly fine. I think the best example is probably Persona 4, where your main character is mute, and everyone else talks, and everyone else has deep, interesting characters, and they play off it well. They find ways around it. It just works very well, and I think that they could do a similar thing here. So I agree, Link will be a mute.
What is your next prediction?
Well, sorry, before we go on to that, I have my joke voice acting prediction, which is that we have Laura Bailey playing Zelda, we'll have Troy Baker playing Ganondorf, and of course, the one and only, hot off the roll of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Kevin Spacey will play Tingle. You heard it here first. So yeah, we're going to get voice acting royalty up in here.
I'd love to know the odds on that.
The odds on Kevin Spacey playing Tingle? I'll tell you. Pretty low. Oh, dear. Okay, so let's... we both had the same prediction there. Let's move on to something else. Let's talk about the name, the subtitle of this Legend of Zelda game. I thought long and hard about this, Bally. I thought, it's really difficult to come up with names, subtitles, for Zelda in particular. Like, you think, like, okay, they're going to go the instrument way, they do that often. It seems like a lot of the time they call on specific objects. That seems to be a recurring theme, and you think, like, okay, back in the day it was just, like, Adventure of Link, like Zelda 2, that was a weird follow-up. Link to the Past is like this kind of nebulous thing, doesn't really mean much. Like, it runs the full gamut, and so coming up with something succinct that sounds good, that is smart, that fits in with what we think this game is going to be, I think is an impossible task. And I think, given what this game is aiming for, given the things that it's calling upon and drawing back to, I think that not only is this going to be a reboot in terms of mechanics, I think they will simply call it The Legend of Zelda. No subtitle, just The Legend of Zelda.
Wow.
And be bold about it and just say, this is it, this is what it is going to be going forward, and no baggage. No subtitles.
It's almost reminiscent of Zelda 1 in the sense when they were talking about, it's an open world, you can go wherever you want, that kind of...
Exactly.
I've just come up with a name on the spot.
Okay.
And I was thinking...
Is this part of your prediction? Or
no,
is this just you trying to come up with something?
This is me trying to come up with something. This is very quick, don't worry.
Okay.
So we're talking about horses and open space. The Legend of Zelda and the Enchanted Plain.
Ooh, I like it. That's actually quite good.
I mean, it doesn't involve...
I like enchanted.
I don't know. It's quite vague, a plain being enchanted, but we'll go with it. We'll stick with it. That's
Yeah,
mine.
I like the focus on landscape because that seems to be the thing that they're like really clued into. What do you think though about the notion that they would just be bold and say it's The Legend of Zelda, no subtitle?
It's possible. Haven't they done that with
Okay.
some other game? They've done that with something else. Yeah, Super Smash Brothers.
Well, no, but they were like Super Smash Brothers for 3DS and for Wii U.
I guess.
I don't think they're gonna like say for Wii U or for NX. I think that's a little too much baggage. I think they just need to cut and dry, to be honest.
Yeah, it's possible, but unlikely, I'd say.
You think it's unlikely? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's a
mining's
stab, but
unlikely too.
I think it's a bold enough stab that could be possible. So that's what I'm going for.
I've got
Bally,
another. I've got another one that you might have.
Okay.
I've got a few wrinkles to mine as well.
Sure.
You can play as a female version of Link.
So, Bally, your predictions basically are here are Emily Rogers rumors, and I'm just going to say them.
Oh,
basically.
sorry. No, but I think most of the stream on Tuesday morning, Los Angeles time, will be played using the female Link. And during this, the internet is going to erupt for all the right and the wrong reasons, and it's going to be like, oh my god. And I don't even know if it will be Linkle or another character.
Okay. You're not feeling bold enough to put down as to whether they're going to say it's Linkle or whether they're going to make their own thing and say it's just an avatar character?
I'm going to say it's a new character. I can't see them bringing in Linkle, personally. It'll be an avatar character or a new character. It won't be Linkle.
So here's the thing, though. Do you think that when they show it off, the first thing they'll do is start playing as female Link? Do you think that they're going to be bold enough to go there?
Yes, yes. And they'll know that will get the biggest headlines, and that'll be the whole point. And I think that'll be cool.
What about the trailer stuff, though? Do we think that, like, if they put a trailer, say, will there be a dual feature of both characters, or will they focus on the female? How will they play that in a trailer?
Yeah,
format?
I think the trailer will have one big reveal, and the big reveal of that trailer, this is right at the start, by the way, will be the female Link, and then everyone's going to go, whoa, oh my god, yeah. And then they're going to go straight into an 1.5-hour stream with female Link.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This seems. I feel like if we're going along the lines of trusting the rumors, then it's definitely a really cool thing, and I think it's something that Nintendo, unfortunately, have backed away from when you talk about things like the Triforce Heroes interview from last E3, which was infamous in its fucking stupidity. They're like, well, I mean, you had to play as Link, all three characters, because he's the hero, he wears the clothes of the hero, so he had to be Link, and you couldn't be any other female character or anything. That was just the fucking stupidest thing in the world. Like, I think stuff like that, the embarrassment from it, and the fact that they
it's a
generally
good way to recover.
Yeah, generally they appeal to, both genders in all of their games. Smash Brothers has such like female diversity in terms of characters. I think that when you step back and think about it, and if you go along the lines of having no voice actor for Link, that allows you to have that opportunity, that opening to split it both ways, and you just encourage more different people to enjoy your game by being able to do that. I think it's smart, it's modern, it's the right thing to do, and I would be very interested to see like what the design is. I do hope that it's a new character, and that it's hard because like there are the issues of like, well, is it just this female Link who's defined by this male Link, or she her own character in her own right? What does she actually look like? Is she just a blonde version? Is it Linkle? Like, there are so many things up in the air about what could potentially happen, but it's definitely something I would be excited about. I would play as female Link 100%. I think that would be a
the
really
whole
cool
world
change.
would, to be honest, because it's the first chance to. It's a bit like Pokemon Crystal. Everyone played as the female in that game because you never could do it before.
Yeah, it's just new and different. There are, of course, people who are like, Link has to be a male because there's every game it's been Link and he always down the generations. And it's just like, fuck off. Link is not a character. Link has never been a character. Like, he has zero like contribution to make to any game he has ever
Half
in.
the world thinks he's called Zelda anyway.
Useless person. Yeah, exactly. Point made. Shut it down. Shut the whole thing down.
What is your final prediction for Zelda?
So let's throw back once again to the classic, the original Legend of Zelda. I think, in a callback to the original Legend of Zelda, you will be able to burn down bushes that lead to secrets and hidden areas with whatever fire-based item this game utilizes, whether it be the rod or some other new thing they've come up with. I think they're going to I think this is maybe a broader prediction, that this game generally... Do this. What do you mean?
You could already burn stuff down in other Zelda games. There's lots of burning equivalents.
Right, but I mean, okay, so maybe the framing for this is more generally, I think that a lot of this game will have Easter egg secrets, callbacks, hints to the original Zelda, with stuff like that, where you're, burning down bushes to find a hidden stairway or something stupid, or you're, I don't know, going through and, pushing blocks to the side and all this other stuff that's, like, drawing directly to the original Zelda. Maybe, like, even in terms of some boss battles, like, you have that first fight against the three-headed dragon thing, which I don't know its name because I fucking not played that game, but I think that there are going to be moments and callbacks to the original because of the template that they're drawing on. I just think, like, it's the 30th anniversary of it. I think they're trying to get that history and they're trying to create something new from something old. And I feel like lots of just allusions and callbacks to the first game.
Interesting. I can definitely see them doing that, and I think that fits in nicely with your name suggestion.
I think the other thing that makes me believe that this will be the case is when they showed the map for this new Hyrule, this new land we're exploring, whatever it turns out to be, there were people who made matchups between the overworld from the original Legend of Zelda and a certain portion of the map. Like, there's this lake that is located here in the original map. There is this cave here. Like, they basically drew direct comparisons between this little, like, bottom left-hand corner of the new map and the original overworld.
And it's also exactly... There was a screenshot released which was identical to a piece of art of the original Legend of Zelda. It's that sort of sunset.
looking over the cliff and seeing this big world beyond you.
And it was identical. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
My final prediction is the selling point of this game. What else are they going to emphasize in?
What is this unique thing that Aonuma has said that makes a change to the open world formula?
In my view, it's all about scale. I think this is obviously going to be the largest Zelda. I think that's a given. I think this is going to have more dungeons than any other Zelda. And the caveat is that a lot of those dungeons will be slightly smaller. Like, you can beat them in 20 minutes to 40 minutes. Like, these are sort of a bit smaller, maybe half the size of many dungeons. Very fast-paced dungeons, a lot like Link Between Worlds in many ways. And I also think that it will be like Link Between Worlds and Wind Waker. Wind Waker in terms of scope and open world to explore, but Link Between Worlds in terms of being able to do any dungeons in order and literally having random paths that go off to specific dungeons, and there will be obviously unique ways to get to those dungeons and get into them, but ultimately you can do any of those dungeons in any order you please.
Interesting. I like that idea. I think it fits well into this idea of exploration and scope. The fact that you can find this underground cavern and not necessarily be prepared to face a big old dungeon, but go in there for half an hour, discover something, find a cool item, and then come out, and there's maybe like 17, 18 of these like dotted around everywhere, so that you have like, or maybe it's the case where there are like major dungeons, but there are so few of them, say like 3 big temples or something, but like everything else are like these smaller, more contained like puzzle areas.
Yeah, definitely. I just think that I got such a high from so many of those Link Between Worlds dungeons because it was like bam, half an hour, and they still felt like you were using your brain. There's puzzles, there's a lot of boss fights, everything, but it just felt more compact, a lot easier to pick up and play. And I would love the idea of, yes, this world is incredibly dense and large, but at the same time it's very easy to dip in and dip out of. Like, it's not like Zelda to me always has been, oh, it takes an hour and a half to get through a 3D dungeon. Like, it's just, or maybe an hour. It's always a long time. Like, and it's always more fun and easier to do if you do it in one sitting because you're memorizing the rooms, the patterns, the puzzles, how to defeat the boss, for example. Like, it's always easier to do it in one sitting. And I just think smaller experiences in a larger world would be pretty cool.
You're very right. I think that a lot of people complain that saving in the middle of a Zelda dungeon is sacrosanct. Like, you can't remember or recall the things that you have completed, the rooms that have been traversed, like, where am I going next? It's because they are all, like, webbed together and you go in all these backtracking directions. They take a really long time, and I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't have that amount of time to dedicate in this one sitting. I just have, like, 20 minutes. And that would be a smart adaptation to address that problem, while still giving you that satisfaction of the puzzle solving that we all love. So I like it. It's a good one. It's a bold one. And we're all about bold predictions here. I
think we've got some bold ones and some solid ones in there, so we'll see.
I think, Bally, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I think you're being softballing. I think you're just.
I've been softballing.
Let's watch a game explain video and crib from them. Let's take Emily Rogers' room. You know what? Softball, Bally. I'm calling it now. You're a pussy, and you need to make bold predictions like Kevin Spacey playing Tingle. That's what I want to hear on this podcast. So you better pick up the slack for the next two, because the next two predictions are based on not Zelda things. So Bally, you cracked the whip on the first Zelda prediction. Let's crack the whip on the first non-Zelda prediction.
Mother 3.
Okay, I mean, same. So let's. It's obvious, but let's talk it out. Let's say, how do you expect Mother 3 to be revealed, announced, whatever, during the Treehouse stream?
At the end of the Zelda play, or footage, or demo, or whatever you want to call it, they'll just be like, oh, and now time for a surprise announcement. And everyone will go, what? And then they go, oh yeah, Mother 3 is coming this autumn. It's like, there'll just be another meltdown. So they'll have had two meltdowns. The first meltdown will be female Link, and then they've got this Mother 3 announcement. It'd be a nice boom boom for the internet to take on a Tuesday morning, sorry.
Do you think that they play it on Treehouse Live? Are you on that camp?
Probably not. It's not. RPGs have never demoed well at E3, and I can't see that changing, to be honest. I think it's a lot more engaging to watch action games and other games than it is to watch. I mean, obviously, I think they're going to stream some Pokemon, so maybe that's an exception, but I can't see them streaming it myself.
Well, you're completely wrong, Bally, because they're also streaming Tokyo Mirage Sessions and Dragon Quest VII, both massive RPGs. Also, Monster Hunter could be construed as an RPG-style experience as well. So, basically, everything they're streaming is an RPG, so your logic is going to the wind.
But RPGs just aren't good to demo, is what I mean.
Well, that's what they have. That's what they're going to show. Here's my prediction. This is how it goes down. They're going to do the Treehouse stuff. I think this might be a day one thing. I think they want to get it in the presses as soon as possible. So I think that what will happen is, just like they did last year, they'll kick to a video of Shigesato Itoi saying to the camera, finally, after so many years, we can finally bring you Mother 3 to the West, la la la, just like he did with Earthbound Beginnings before the Nintendo Championship. That video will come in, and then, boom, switch Bill Trinan and someone from Treehouse. Let's go through Mother 3 is here. Let's see it on Wii U Virtual Console, see the new localization for 20 minutes or whatever. I think they're going to demo it. I think Itoi will give them a video. I think that will be the Mother 3 segment, and I think it will make headlines as it deserves to do so.
And it will be available on that day.
Ooh, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it's available that day. So let's remember these nuances here.
Okay.
You're saying it's day one. I'm going to say no. Yep. I'm going to say they're going to leave it for a little bit later in the year because their calendar's a little sparse. If you didn't notice,
it's quite sparse.
Need something to build it up. So
I've got something to build that up in my next prediction if you'd like.
All right, sure. Go ahead, Bally.
Do you want to do your one first, or shall I get it out there?
No, I mean, we've been going in order here. You started. You shall continue to go before me.
Right. Pikmin 4. It's going to come out. It's going to come out on both the Wii U and the NX. It's going to be NX at launch, but on Wii U, it's going to be this holiday season. And we're going to see either a trailer or a bit of footage or a bit of streaming, a bit of gameplay, or both at the C3.
Man, it's bold. It's bold because I really think that Pikmin is a game that has been moved to NX. I don't see any merit in releasing a Wii U version aside from having a holiday game.
I think it's because it's, judging by reports, they've already made it for Wii U, and they're probably just going to port it to NX anyway, and they're probably thinking, well, seeing as we have nothing else for Wii U at this time of year, obviously the Wii U's got a terrible install base, and that might not be an economic argument, but maybe they just want to say, let's just put it out there for Wii U and do another Pikmin 4 for launch of NX. Okay.
I don't agree. I respectfully disagree. I say that it is 100% going to be an NX game. I think there is another issue of being at E3 and saying the words NX. They just don't want to get into that thing at all. They just don't want to approach it. So I think Pikmin 4 would mean that they have to say
maybe they could announce
NX.
Pikmin 4 and NX when the NX is launched, is revealed later.
Yeah,
and all these launch lineup titles, including Pikmin 4, blah blah blah, and they don't have to mention it with NX this E3. So
later this year when NX has its own event, that's going to be a fun prediction segment. I feel
this one is going to be a little bit.
Might be a little bit of a sad prediction segment. I think that's going to be a super fun one. But anyway,
oh boy.
Let's keep the sadness going. My final prediction, Bally. And, it hurts me to say so, because every year I always make the prediction, 2D Metroid, all the time. It's coming. My last prediction. The Treehouse will not mention or stream Metroid Prime Federation Force in order to avoid controversy. In fact, the word Metroid will never be mentioned for the duration of E3 by Nintendo. They will bury that shit and send it out to die.
That's your prediction?
Yeah, they're not going to talk about Metroid Federation Force at all. They're going to not mention the word Metroid. It will not be said at all.
I like this reverse psychology you're doing here, MBZ. I think it's some good karma you've got on the go, because I think for the last however many years, since Zero Mission came out, I think you've been predicting a 2D Metroid at E3 every single year. This time you're throwing in the towel. You're saying, look, it's not happening. We know Federation Force is a thing, but Nintendo haven't mentioned it in reference to this E3. So MZ, I think that is a decent prediction. But I know you're just waiting for them to say, oh, but wait. Here's the 2D Metroid on 3DS out this holiday season. Enjoy. I don't think they'll do that, but you never know. You never know.
I mean, you kind of do, because this E3 is going to be terrible. But
yeah, but
oh dear,
it's not good. And all of our predictions are lukewarm.
Yeah,
in comparison to some previous predictions we've made on this show. So there you go.
Yeah, when you lower expectations, then you can't really raise them that much. So that's what we have, and we'll see how those go. Bally, I will want £100 from you if Kevin Spacey plays Tingle in The Legend of Zelda.
MBZ,
I'm just putting it down.
Deal done. But I would quite like some money if Enchanted Plains is a thing.
Okay, sure.
We'll do it
both ways.
100 both ways? If I
100 both ways.
I have to nail the name. And you've got to get Kevin Spacey. Imagine if Kevin Spacey is playing a different character.
Oh shit! That
and you're like, God damn!
No. Yeah. Oh boy. All right, well, let's move on to some of your predictions that you sent in via our email address, which is Bally. Would you kindly tell them?
It is, of course, thisnintendolife@gmail.com. That's thisnintendolife@gmail.com. And on to the first email. It's from Ben. Okay, MBZ and Bally, here are my E3 Zelda predictions. The new Zelda will have the same controls as Star Fox Zero, and full name will be Zelda NX, Color Splash. But in all seriousness, I really have high hopes for Zelda, but I also want to see as little Zelda at E3 as possible. I think it is likely that Zelda won't be the only thing shown, especially seeing as Sun and Moon has been confirmed to also get played at the Treehouse. Nintendo not only has their fans to satisfy, but also their shareholders. I don't think Nintendo is dumb enough to show just Zelda and leave everybody wondering what's next. Also, Nintendo has a giant E3 space, so unless they're trying to recreate the open world feel of Zelda and the Enchanted, I've forgotten my name already, Enchanted Plain. Yeah, Enchanted Plain. That's their show floor, an Enchanted Plain. There will be something. But who knows? This is Nintendo we're talking about.
Who does know? This is Nintendo we're talking about. I think he has more optimism than us. Is like, yeah, they're not just going to leave everyone wondering what's next, are they? Well, yeah, I think they are, actually. I think they are because the things that they're showing at the Treehouse are known quantities. They are games that have already been announced. They're things that are coming out relatively soon. The window for which is, like, very short, like pre-holiday stuff. There's nothing really far-flung aside from Zelda itself. So if they are to like make any grand big reveals, I imagine they would be on the scale of a Mother 3, where it's coming out, relatively soon. It's happening, nothing major. So it's a hard thing to come to terms with, but that just seems like, as Reggie said, we approach E3 differently every year, and this year, I imagine they just didn't want to do E3, but because of the fact that they need to keep that booth space later down the line, kind of roped themselves into a hard place.
And they can certainly shine more light on Zelda than they perhaps were anticipating, but it's the best option for them in a bad situation almost. And ultimately, you are still going to get loads and loads and loads of media coverage of The Legend of Zelda, and that's a good thing for Nintendo. So there is a bright side to this dark tale. I thought it was interesting, Ben mentioning shareholders. This is my opinion. I don't know if this is necessarily the case, but I don't particularly think they will care massively about E3, and particularly in terms of Nintendo's current position. I think what they care about is that Nintendo sell or get the NX out before the next fiscal year, which is at the end of March, I believe. And Nintendo Voice Chat mentioned this, but they were incredibly keen, Nintendo were, to get Miitomo out before the end of the previous fiscal year, and it launched on literally the very last day of March. So I think that ultimately shareholders are just wanting bang for their buck. They know the NX is coming. They just want that NX to come before the next fiscal year, and whether E3 had NX or not, I don't think that necessarily affects them too much in the wider scheme of things.
Yeah, I think ultimately we probably give E3 too much credit in terms of the wider games market and its visibility within that. It's obviously a huge thing for our echo chamber and our bubble, but the fact that they don't have a big E3 showing, I don't think is necessarily the hugest of worry for shareholders, because I think shareholders are resigned to the fact that they have a dying platform in Wii U, and there's nothing that's going to save it this year regardless. So they definitely seem like maybe when we get around NX launch or NX reveal, that might be when they start caring. But I agree. Definitely. I think that it's not as much to pay attention to here.
How about the next email?
Let's do it.
It's from James, who's from the internet. And this is a long one, so bear with me. Hey guys, given Nintendo's insistence on new and the gamepad being key, I'm expecting there to be a fairly major change to the way combat plays out compared to the HD remakes to bring it more in line with Skyward Swords, or perhaps even further. Exactly how they'll do that I'm unsure, but I suspect some use of the tilt to change attack angle. I also think there will be other options like using the Wiimote Plus and wearing the gamepad in a special designed belt in much the same way Link wears his book in game. And in the case of the NX version, using the haptic touchscreen, which I still think is going to happen, to swipe the button in desired strike direction. I believe this is the reason we've seen so much of the bow so far, so that they had time to perfect the controls and to keep it as much of a surprise as possible, although I do believe the bow will have more utility as well. Moreover, I have a suspicion we may have equivalent equipment decisions, as we've already seen Link using an arming sword and a claymore in different clips. I believe this will be similar to Skyward Sword's shields, with fairly simple differences that you can upgrade with treasures you may find, partially to expand gameplay, but also add more rewards for mini dungeons in the massive overworld. I believe Epona will act as a pack horse, allowing you to camp and change equipment in the overworld, but refusing to enter dungeons, while moreover I believe this will allow for some link between worlds ideas to shine through. I also believe the game will be called The Legend of Zelda Journal of Shadow, given the heavy emphasis on the book in the character design and its Sheikah, also known as the Shadow People, iconography adorning it. I believe the Sheikah will play a very large role in this game, including appearing as interactable NPCs, though perhaps only via time travel shenanigans. My favorite. And Nintendo will play this up in the advertising as uncovering the mysteries of the Sheikah. All in all, I think it'll be a pretty exciting game.
Well, that's a hell of a lot of detail to go into.
It is quite.
Let's grab a few things here. I think his first point about using the motion control of the gamepad to angle sword attacks and haptic to do the... No, not a chance in hell. Zero chance. I think there is something that they really want to get away from, and that is the negative reception to Skyward Sword's controls. I think they want to focus in on a simple, basic, button-based scheme that will work across Wii U and NX, and I think the fact that it is on both platforms means that it has to be in some way unified and it has to be somewhat simplified. I think that the gamepad will be used in terms of that map and in terms of inventory management and those basic things. And gyro stuff, of course, yeah.
For the bow and all that.
Yeah, but in terms of like sword-based stuff, if the sword is even a big factor, because like looking at it, it seems like they have such this big focus on the bow that maybe sword combat is going to be something that's an afterthought or comes in later. But yeah, from my perspective, I don't believe in that, unfortunately. As kind of groundbreaking, maybe it seems like that could be. That seems like maybe too awkward and too hard to market from my perspective for this new Zelda game. How do you feel, Bali?
I would agree. I do think there will be gyro controls like HD remakes. I think that to claim there will be Wiimote or anything using the gamepad much is completely implicating the NX. And yes, they could make two very drastically different versions of the game, but I can't see that being the case. And Wii U games haven't used the Wiimote in a long time. Like the last time I used a Wiimote with the Wii U was like Pikmin 3 and Nintendo Land, and I just can't see them
pretty much launch in early launch games.
Precisely, so I can't see that being the case at all. I really haven't really seen Link even with a sword yet in this game, unless I'm blind. I'm pretty sure I've only seen the bow.
I don't know what he's talking about with this arming sword and claymore. Maybe he's paying like deep attention to things I've completely gone over. So, like there's stuff that is on Epona, like on her side. I don't know if the stuff is in there. But I haven't dived into that stuff. So
I mean, I like the idea that there will be an upgrade system, and I can see something similar to Skyward Sword in that sense.
Yeah, I totally think that they're going to build on that idea of, using items you collect in the overworld to craft stuff.
Definitely.
I think taking cues from more Western games, that we said, like, that idea of crafting stuff is something that they started in Skyward Sword, and I think they will expand upon in this game. I'll definitely agree with that for sure.
I think he's onto something personally with the Sheikah, who are called the Shadow People, and there being an emphasis. Certainly, recent gameplay we've seen, there has been the Sheikah symbol of the eye over everything, and I think it was what did I see? Oh no, that was something completely different. Ignore what
Well,
I'm
I'll
saying.
tell you something that I've been looking at, which is the official website for this new Legend of Zelda game, which is literally that symbol on a website, like, glowing in blue. So,
Really?
if that says anything, like, so it will be pretty significant, I think. I think it will definitely probably be tied to the story. I think that there is going to be... This could be, like, the emergence of the Sheikah. This could be like the genesis of them in this world. Like, if we take the theory that this is a direct successor to Skyward Sword, where they're down in the overworld now and they're mapping it out and all that stuff, like, you can see the emergence of all these races of Hyrule. You can see the emergence of people like the Sheikah happening then and there within this overworld. So I think that is probably a good shout for sure.
I might claim Shadow Plane or Sheikah Plane.
Ooh, Plane of Shadow? Plane of Shadow,
yeah.
Land of Shadow? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're getting there. I want to incorporate this expansiveness with the Sheikah in some way. So I think between the three of us, we're going to get the name. We're going to get it.
Yeah, I think Shadow is definitely a good Zelda title word. So good shout there, James. I think that you're onto something.
I'm not with you on the haptic buttons and all this, though. I don't see it.
Well, yeah,
I don't see
it's
it.
fine.
we have covered that before, but
yes.
On to the final question, and this is a time to reminisce, MBZ.
It is,
so
yeah.
This is from Sanjeet, who's from the UK. Dear Nudge Nudge and Wink Wink, there's been a lot of talk in recent months and years about poor Nintendo showings at E3. However, as a holder of a history degree, first class, thank you for asking, I would like to look back in time. Therefore, my question is, what are both of your best Nintendo E3 moments of all time, and what are your worst?
Well, Sanji, I'm just going to say to you hello to Jason Isaacs, and that will be that, and we'll approach his question. I think that it's really tough to pick out favorites and low points, because there have been a lot of both, like significant numbers of both. I think God, it's so obvious, but the obvious one is Twilight Princess. Like that.
Definitely.
That's just like the audience reaction, the craziness, the grand nature of the trailer, the like overwhelming tone of everything that surrounded it is just one of the most fun things to watch. Still to this day, go back and watch that video and you're like, man, they just whipped up a frenzy with this thing. It's a hell of a moment, a hell of a piece of history. Like, that stands out with things, modern things now with, the Final Fantasy VII Remake reveal last year, and before that with Sony, with all the shit they did to, smack down Microsoft. Like, that is part of E3 history in a nutshell, is Twilight Princess. So yeah, that's a big one. I'll think of another one. But Bally, do you have any others?
I remember the impact and getting the most excited during the Wii sort of run up and launch in that big E3 with Mario Galaxy. Like, they were running like quite a simple demo of that game before anything overly complicated. But the whole idea of gravity with that game, and it just looked gorgeous. Obviously, the Wii wasn't much powerful, if more powerful at all, than a GameCube, but that game just looked so good, and at the time was like unbelievable. And I just remember getting so excited for that game. More recently, I'm even going to give it to like Zelda Wii U. That initial look at this field, look at that mountain you can go to, and then it goes into that CGI cutscene where it's just that crazy legged thing chasing Link on horseback. It's really exciting. Like, it's pretty cool, and obviously that game is still not here, and we're not going to get it in for another almost a year. But that doesn't deny that it was a really cool E3 reveal.
Totally. A couple of other big ones for me. the first Metroid Other M trailer was fucking cool as shit. Like, unfortunately, the game didn't turn out that way, but that trailer was hot. It was what I wanted, like, because I would never wanting to play the Prime games because of the first-person thing, and because they didn't seem like they were capturing much of what I liked about 2D Metroid. And Other M really looked like this is a third-person action, like, Metroid-style game, and it just looked gorgeous. It had such a style to it, and I think it still has that. You know, it still looks great. It's still a very stylish game. Unfortunately, it's just lacking in substance. But in terms of E3 moments, that's a great announcement that really got me excited. And I would say for a more modern one, man, Splatoon. What a great announcement.
Definitely.
That was fucking awesome. And to have a brand new IP that is like this big major push that they've made, the freshness, I understand that's, stay fresh, but it is an incredibly fresh experience. It was like really
works.
Amazing, and that was one of my favorites for sure.
One more from that same Direct in 2014, and this put a big grin on Jeff Gressman's face, and that takes a lot of doing, and that was the Mario Maker reveal.
Yeah.
I think, because you see Mario hopping along, and then all of a sudden this hand comes on screen and stuff starts getting edited. I mean, obviously that game became far bigger and greater than that trailer ever could have imagined, but making Mario levels like officially with Nintendo's help is like unbelievable, and was a huge reveal. And I mean, we've already said 3 instances from that one Direct, and it really
was a good Direct.
Really deserved it.
I think if like going back a little bit, there's a lot of good moments, but I want to just pick out a couple more. The Smash Brothers Brawl Snake trailer, the one that revealed Wario and revealed a bunch of people, and then at the end had the Snake bonus. One of the coolest reveals of a Smash Brothers, new characters and everything. That was exceptionally well done. The whole thing where you have the Melee character models like leveling up almost as they kind of like reskinned them into the new Brawl textures. That was a really cool thing. And Kirby just looking the exact same, which is funny. Like, I remember that. Just like Mario, like, oh, look at the texture on his jeans. And then Kirby's just like, well, he's still Kirby, I guess. That trailer was really awesome. And I think because of the way Smash 4 rolled out, they had lots of different individual trailers at different directs. There was never this one big push. I guess aside from the big Mega Man one, the first reveal, which was definitely also awesome. Smash Brothers stuff is always fantastically revealed. Sakurai has just such a talent and a knack for it.
It's so well hyped up. Definitely. How about some... Any good ones, or you want some flops now?
Yeah. Oh God, there was one in my brain that has just gone out of it. Yes. You're talking about Mario Maker. I think it wasn't a press conference, but the Nintendo World Championship for Mario Maker was goddamn amazing. Like, that was the best thing from last. Was that last? Yeah, it was last year.
That was last year. That's how far that game came in a year, because that was 2014 to 2015. Like,
exactly.
It just took off.
That is easily one of my favorite moments. Like, that is the quickest I've gone from this game to holy shit, this game. You know?
Yeah.
That was a big one. So
really
lots of good E3 moments. Let's dig down into the dirt for a second, Bally. What are some of the worst?
I was very quickly just going to mention, imagine if Zelda could make a jump like that. That's what Nintendo need.
Yeah. Look, I hope we look back on this E3 and say, that Zelda reveal, that's one of the best E3 moments. So we'll see.
One of the biggest flops, I think, Nintendo saying, hey, we've got this separate side event to announce something really special, and the journalists are going absolutely mental. NeoGAF is melting. New 2D Metroid, here we go, Metroid, Wii Fit Trainer in Smash Brothers, and it was just
the event like after in the morning event that they went to with the journalists, and they're like, there's going to be this reveal. Wii Fit Trainer. The inverse of all the Smash announcements is this Smash character who everyone was like, oh, But I think think
cool.
it's actually a really funny announcement. It's just like the context of that E3
yeah.
and everything that had happened. I think it was at E3 where they first did a direct and they had super massive technical problems, at least on the US stream. It was funny because I was talking to people like Nick and stuff on Skype, and I was saying, they were like, what the fuck, it's all choppy. And I'm like, I don't know, the European stream is fine. So everyone switched over to the European stream because it was the only one that was working. Everything else was just a trash pile. So yeah, that was bad, I think, for sure. I think E3, I think it's 2008. I can't remember if it's 08 or 09. Cammie Dunaway and the entire press conference, the whole... Her being the replacement for Reggie on stage, the whole We Fit push, like all that stuff, Ravi drums, I think that's the same year. Man, what a train wreck. What a goddamn travesty it was. She was just really... I don't think she was that bad necessarily, but she wasn't Reggie, and she wasn't like giving that impact. It really felt that Nintendo had forgotten their fans at that E3. It felt like they were pushing hard on a mainstream market, a casual market, and they were, I guess, right to do so in some senses, but E3 was not the venue to probably do that deep, and the whole Cammie situation was just, it was bad, and I was real disappointed after that show because it was not what I wanted.
I mean, the last time there was something as controversial as what happened last year was probably the reveal of Toon Link and the way that the world reacted to that. But ultimately, that was so long ago that the internet was a very, very different place. It just wasn't. There was no Twitter. There was no, Facebook was complete. Facebook didn't exist. Like, there was the whole infrastructure of how we took in games media was so different when Toon Link was revealed.
I don't know that Toon Link was an E3 reveal.
No, but
either,
that's my point. I'm trying to link it to last year with Federation Force, and just I mean, I didn't personally feel like that, but just the way that the internet reacted was unbelievable. I was shocked, and that's what I mean is that like that sense of what have you done to my favorite IP is very similar to the reveal of Toon Link. I'm not saying Federation Force is going to be the next Wind Waker. It won't be. But I think it's absolutely crazy, that reaction.
That, man, it's a thing that makes me angry, but also people went way too fucking far.
I completely agree, yeah.
Jesus. People went way too far. That's a big worst one for sure. In terms of other weird shit, remember when we watched the E3, I think it was 2005, and the whole electroplankton DJ thing?
Oh my god.
What the fuck was that?
It was so long. What the fuck was that?
It was so long. Reggie was doing an awkward dance that someone gifted, and it's hilarious. But, dude, that was bad.
What about that same E3? Is it Miyamoto or Iwata? I think it's Miyamoto with that presenter, and they have this really awkward conversation about going backstage.
Oh, yeah!
Do you remember? Like, it's so strange. It's so difficult to describe because there's so much sort of sexual innuendo going on, and they're not really realizing this, and it's all just so awkward, and obviously the language barrier with Miyamoto. He looks absolutely delighted about the sexual innuendo that's going on and doesn't even realize it. And then he takes her hand and walks off backstage, and it's just crazy.
Oh, boy, yeah, that was bad. In that same vein, the women with 3DSs was a recent one that we talked about. But
yes. Crazy.
Yeah, there are lots of bad moments for Nintendo. I think also Nintendo Land Fireworks at the end of 2012.
I was going to mention that as well, yeah.
That was a hell of a downer. Like, what a disappointing press conference that was. And to end it with, like, here's one more thing. Oh, it's just fucking fireworks from Nintendo Land. God damn it. This is how Nintendo's stage show dies, I guess, in a puff of smoke, you know? That's how it went down. Never returned after that. That was it.
And that's the thing, out of all the sort of negative ones we've said, half of those still had like a quirky Nintendo charm to them, and although they were bad, like maybe the Wii Fit Trainer or something, although it wasn't what everyone wanted, it was kind of like, All right, you're funny, Nintendo. Good on you. Well done. Like that, good joke. And it's kind of, I don't know. They always there's always a touch of something different when they do completely muck it up.
There is, for sure. And yeah, maybe to top it off, like one of my favorite moments is the whole puppet thing they did with.
Has to be, definitely.
Yeah, 2014. That was, oh no, that was last year. That was last year.
2015. Yeah.
It was the only good thing about last year's Direct was the puppet stuff. Yeah, man.
That opening was unbelievable. Like, and it's such a Star Fox is a great character-filled game to do that with, and it just worked so well.
Yeah, totally. I wish that was the actual art style for Star Fox, but alas, I'm sure that would cost millions upon millions.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I think that pretty much wraps us up, Bally. We're ready for E3. We've done our stuff. We've talked about it. It's time to look towards the future.
We've done the pre-shows. Next show is going to be the post-show.
Yeah, exactly. And that will come out as soon as possible. So this is really hard and really weird.
Hopefully Tuesday night, or at the latest Wednesday, probably.
Yeah, I imagine it will be on Tuesday, but it depends how much Zelda they show, how much we watch of it, how much we decide to talk about it. Maybe we'll do a follow-up show after they've done some stuff with Second Day of Treehouse and Pokemon, maybe. Or maybe we'll save that for our show, a regular show after E3.
Episode 69.
To clean pieces. Yeah, of course, 69. Gonna get in there. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll let you guys know. But this show, I think, this is Friday when this goes out, and on Tuesday you should be looking out for another thing in your feed. So we will be as quick as possible. The thing with E3 is it's all about hot takes, and we need to be there for our hottest of takes as soon as possible. So we'll try to do that. Also, keep an eye out on my Twitch, I guess, because I might be streaming during E3 and reacting to some stuff. So that might be fun. That's twitch.tv/Lordnbz if you're interested in that. And yeah, fun stuff, I guess. Videos, maybe. I'll see what I can rustle up. Maybe something. Might do prediction videos beforehand. I would not being too excited for this E3, but I might do something. I feel like I should do something. So we shall see. That is going to be us, though. So, Bally, let's close it down. Where can you find us? Where can you see us? Where can you do us? All the things.
You can find me on the internet. I'm at Ballyman91 on Twitter. That's BALLYMAN91. If you want updates on the show and when it's going to come out, and you're confused about when E3 timings and things, follow our Twitter account, which is at TNL Podcast. That's at TNL Podcast. And we'll do some tweets and update everyone on how the show is looking in terms of
we shall indeed.
Getting it out.
You can find me on Twitter at Lordnbz. That's also my name on Miiverse. You can email the show, thisnintendolife@gmail.com. We will look for all of your post-E3 reactions and thoughts. So get on the buttons, get on the keyboards, be ready. The show is available in many places. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we are on YouTube on Wednesdays, iTunes on the Mondays. You can review us there. That would be very nice of you to do so. And we'll get on Google Play one day, as I keep saying, when they come to our goddamn country. Google, be a global entity. Terrible. Tell you what. And that's going to be it. That's going to close us out. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for sticking with us. And
grab your unicycles.
Grab your unicycles. We'll see you guys on the other side with a bunch of E3 news and comment. So until then, get hyped. E3 Hype Train! I would like to see horses that can really run.
Don't give them away.
Very fun.
Don't give away my predictions.